Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Today we will be discussing a very interesting perspective of looking at spiritual life. So, all of us, we know that there are two very important aspects of spiritual life, which is intelligence and faith. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks this very important verse where he says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. What is the meaning of this verse? So he's saying that Aham sarvasya prabhava mata sarvam pravartate. Everything emanates from me. And someone who understands this, iti matva bhajante mam, understands this and worships me, buddha bhava samanvitaha. How he should worship me? With a combination of buddha, which is buddhi, and bhava, which is emotions of faith. So, Krishna is recommending that we should worship him with a combination of intelligence and faith. So today, I'm going to tell you all first, to begin with, 3 stories that will help you what is the meaning of this combination of intelligence and faith. Lord Shiva, he cuts three people's heads. He cuts the head of Lord Brahma. Brahma originally had 5 heads. Shiva cut off one of the heads of Brahma, and then Brahma started having 4 heads. Then Shiva cuts off the head of Daksha. And Shiva cuts off the head of Ganesh. So if you look at all these head cutting stories, you start wondering what is wrong with Lord Shiva, He's cutting everybody's head, one after another. So what is the understanding of these head cutting stories of Lord Shiva? This teaches us a very important lesson of life. The head represents buddhi, intelligence. Head is the seat of intelligence, right? So, in each of these stories, Lord Shiva is teaching us one problem with intelligence. So Shiva is known as Vishwas Devata. He is the god of faith. So if you look at Lord Shiva's life, it is completely filled with faith only. He has full faith in God. So much faith that he doesn't want anything at all for himself. When Lord Shiva got married to Parvati, Parvati told Lord Shiva, see, you don't need anything, but I need at least a house to stay in, Please at least, make sure that you have a house for me to stay in. So Shiva said, okay, and he built a huge palace for Parvati, for the wedding. So during the wedding, during the marriage of Shiva and Parvati, lots of guests came, brahmanas came, and Shiva gave charity to everyone. Finally, the marriage got over and Shiva and Parvati started staying together in that house. And after everybody had gone and all that, one old brahmana came. And he asked Lord Shiva, can you please give me also some charity? By the time Shiva had given everything he had in charity. And because this brahmana came, he didn't have anything else to give. He gave his house only in charity to the brahmana. And now they're back to square one. They didn't have anything. So Shiva lives based on faith. Absolutely. He doesn't bother on externals. So these 3 stories that I'm going to share with you all now are very interesting if you think about it. The first story is of Lord Brahma. Brahma is Buddhi Devata. He is the god of intelligence. If you look at Brahma, his entire body is made up of intelligence only. All of us are made up of 5 things, right? Rather 8 things. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, and mind, intelligence, false ego. So we have 8 elements that make up this body. But Brahma's body is made up of only 1 element, and that is intelligence. Now imagine how intelligent he is. He doesn't have any other substance in his body except buddhi. On top of that, he has, 5 heads, basically. Very intelligent person. One day, Brahma created a very beautiful girl. And he liked that girl so much that he began to run after her only. The first problem with buddhi is that when you create anything out of your intelligence, you become attracted towards what you created only. Like if you look at painters who paint, when you look at what they have painted, you can't understand anything. But that painter is so attracted towards his own painting, he loves it. Whether others understand or no, that's not his problem. He loves his painting. If a sculptor creates a beautiful, a statue, he loves his own creation. If an author writes his own, whatever he writes. So when an author writes, he gets attracted to his own writing. So the problem with buddhi, the first problem with buddhi is that the nature of intelligence is it creates attachment to the very thing that you are creating, basically. Lord Shiva saw Brahma running after his own, daughter. He cut off the head of Brahma. He's saying this person has too much intelligence, leading to too much attachment. So he said, let me reduce intelligence. He cut off the head of Brahma. There is a place in Badrinath, which is known as Adi Kedarnath. That is a place where Lord Shiva goes to meditate after cutting off the head of Brahma. That place is known as Kapaleshwar also. So the first story is of Brahma, whose head Lord Shiva cuts off. The second story is of Daksha. Daksha is the son of Brahma. Being the son of Brahma, he is also very intelligent. The name Daksha itself means expert. He was very skilled, very talented, very intelligent person. There's another problem with intelligence. The second problem with intelligence is those who are intelligent also become very proud. So Daksha had a daughter named Sati. And Sati wanted to get married to Lord Shiva. Daksha did not want Sati to get married to Lord Shiva, but somehow she went ahead and married him. Daksha was very unhappy with the marriage of his daughter with Shiva. So at one point, Daksha arranged for a yajna, a huge fire sacrifice, where every person from all over the universe were called for participating in the yajna. And everyone came. And when Daksha entered the yajna arena, as soon as Daksha entered, everyone stood up. Obviously, Daksha is such a powerful person and is such an effulgent person, everyone stood up. Except two people. The first person who did not stand up was Brahma, his own father. He said, "Theek hai, father didn't stand up, it's fine, The second person who didn't stand up was his own son-in-law, Shiva. And the Acharyas explained why Shiva didn't stand up. It is explained that Shiva, he looks for the activity of Paramatma in the heart. If Paramatma is very active in somebody's heart, Shiva stands up to respect the Paramatma act in the heart. When Daksha came in, he saw in Daksha's heart, if there is any activity of Paramatma, he saw Paramatma was sleeping. Totally inactive, So Shiva said, I won't stand up. He kept sitting down. And Daksha couldn't handle it. He started shouting so badly because, he was not getting respect. If 1,000 people respect you and one person disrespects you, your mind gets stuck there only. It doesn't matter if 1,000 people have respected me. Why this one fellow is not respecting me? That's the nature of the mind. The nature of the mind is to be stuck in one particular insult or one particular episode of disrespect. So Lord Shiva, he didn't stand up and Daksha got furious. And he started shouting and yelling at Lord Shiva, giving all kind of abusive words. And as a result of this kind of abusive words, Sati, she couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle the fact that, her husband was insulted in public. So she self-emulated herself. When Shiva saw that Sati is not there anymore, he got furious at Daksha. He said, this fellow, he is too intelligent. And the result of his intelligence is that he's become too proud. So he said, this intelligence is not worth. And what he did? Cut off the head of Daksha. He says, let me decrease his intelligence a little bit. So when Daksha's head was cut off, all the gods, they became very disturbed. Kya ho gaya? Okay. So when, what was I saying? Daksha's head got chopped off. The demigods went to Lord Shiva and they said, this person is so important for us. And this yajna is such an important yajna. And in the yajna, bloodshed has happened. And they said, very inauspicious. Lord Shiva said, no. Actually, now the yajna is complete. So the demigods were amazed. They said, what do you mean by yajna is complete now? Lord Shiva explained that whenever any yajna is done, there is something known as Purnahuti that happens at the end of the yajna. Purnahuti means is the last oblations, last, sacrifice that you do. And the last oblation in any yajna is you drop in the thought that I did it. When you do an yajna, at the end of doing the yajna, when you throw into the fire the thought that I did this yajna, that's when the yajna is complete. So that means the last thing that you put into the fire is ego. It's called ahankar. I did it. When you put that, then the yajna is complete. Lord Shiva said, by cutting off this fellow's head, Purnahuti is complete. Ego is sacrificed, So the demigod said, okay, that's all fine, but we need him. Please do something. So Lord Shiva said, okay, I'll revive him. So Lord Shiva went, cut the head of a goat and came and put it on the head of this fellow. And Daksha woke up. And when he saw himself in the mirror, guess what he saw? He saw a goat looking back at him. Is a goat very handsome or very beautiful animal? It's like the ugliest animal, literally, isn't it? So who will be proud that I have a face of a goat? And that's how Lord Shiva decreased a little bit of his pride, basically. So Daksha was alive, he was intelligent still, but little bit of his pride came down. And then the third story is of Lord Shiva cutting off the head of Ganesh. So one day Parvati, she created a beautiful boy out of the chandan of her body. So when this boy was born, Ganesh, his name was, so Parvati told him, I'm going to have a bath, you take care of the house. Don't allow anyone to come in. Ganesh said yes. And he began to guard the house. Parvati went to have a bath. And when Parvati went, a little later, Lord Shiva comes. And he's trying to enter the house. Ganesh is saying, you can't go in. Shiva says, Arey, this is my house, why I can't go in? Ganesh says, my mother has given me a list of people who can come in, your name is not there. Shiva is saying, Arey, it is my house, why my name has to be there in the list, Ganesh says, I don't know. Your name is not there, you can't go in. Shiva asks him, who are you? He says, I am son of Parvati. And Shiva gets bewildered because, no contribution from his side. Ideally, son is born from husband, wife, contribution together, right? Here, son is born without husband being involved only, So Shiva asked him, when I went, there was no son. When I came back, how come one son is born, So Lord Shiva realized Ganesh is very intelligent. Brahma's son is Daksha. Daksha's daughter is Sati, and the same Sati comes as Parvati. She's also intelligent, basically. So the son born to her, Ganesh, he is also very intelligent. Shiva realized that there is a third problem in intelligence. The third problem with intelligence is that intelligence ideally should have the ability to discriminate right and wrong. But if your intelligence is not able to discriminate what is right and wrong, that intelligence is useless. So Shiva cut off Ganesh's head. Some people have too much intelligence and they make wrong use of their intelligence. One devotee was giving a lecture in one college about art of mind control and all. So the end of the lecture, one boy put up his hand. He said, I have a doubt. So this devotee asked him, what doubt you have? He said, when Shiva cut the head of Lord Ganesh, Where did he keep the cut head? What a question! Isn't it? He said, he cut the head of Ganesh. Where did he keep that cut head? He's asking. And this devotee was stunned. This is the art of mind control lecture going on. And this fellow is telling this story and he's asking, where did the cut head kept? And this devotee, he said, maybe he kept it in the fridge. How do you answer these questions? Some questions don't have an answer at all, right? So here, Lord Shiva thought, this person is very intelligent, but he doesn't have the ability to discriminate right and wrong. Once Krishna was stealing butter in one gopi's house. And this gopi opened the door and caught Krishna stealing butter. And she told Krishna, Krishna, why are you stealing butter in my house? Krishna very innocently looked around here and there and he said, oh, this is your house. I thought it was my house. Krishna is telling like that to the gopi. And the gopi got bewildered. Imagine Krishna is sitting in her house and he is telling, I thought it was my house. The Acharyas explain, actually the whole world belongs to Krishna only. Isn't it? And we are claiming, we are putting a nameplate over there and saying, this is my house. Actually everything belongs to Krishna only. So here, Lord Ganesh, he is not allowing Shiva to enter his own house. And he is saying, you are not allowed here. So Shiva said, this person has too much intelligence. I'll cut off his head. After he cut off his head, Parvati comes. And Parvati is shocked to see her son dead. So she asks Shiva, why did you kill my son? Shiva says, how come son is born without my contribution, Parvati said, nothing doing, revive my son. So then Shiva went, cut the head of an elephant and came and fitted on the head of Ganeshji. And then Ganesh got back to life. So Ganesh is a combination of Shiva and Parvati. The head is contributed by Shiva and the body is contributed by Parvati. This is the combination of Buddhi and Vishwas. Intelligence and faith. When we practice our devotion, this combination has to always exist. Only when you have a combination of intelligence and faith, then only you can practice your spiritual life nicely. Now, I'm going to tell you all a very interesting story from the Ramayana about how to practice using this combination of intelligence and faith. What is the order in which one should practice? And what is the way in which one should practice one's spiritual life based on this order? When the army of monkeys, Vanaras, went to the southern side of India, the army left to the south. And this army was headed by Angad. And in that army was Hanumanji, Jambavan, Nala, Neela, all of them were in this army. And they left for the southern direction to search for Mother Sita. So Sita represents Bhakti Devi, devotion. And all of us are looking for Bhakti Devi in our life, isn't it? Just like these Vanaras are looking for Bhakti Devi, similarly, all of us are also looking for Bhakti Devi. So in one sense, the journey of these Vanaras towards the south is a journey of all of us towards the practicing the path of devotion. So when the Vanaras left from Kishkinda, they were very excited. They were very confident that they will find Sita. So right in the beginning of the army was Angad. Angad represents intelligence. So when the journey began, Angad was leading the army, going right in the front. In the beginning of your spiritual life, intelligence should be right in the front. And Hanumanji was right at the back. Today is Saturday, auspicious day, Hanumanji's day. It's good to do some Hanuman Katha. So Hanumanji was right at the back and Angad was right in the front. So Hanuman is a god of faith, you can say. He is a representation of faith. He has so much faith in God. Hanuman was right at the back of the army. So, in the beginning of your spiritual life, intelligence should be in the front and faith should be at the back. Hanumanji is also known as Pavan Putra, right? Pavan Putra, Pavan means wind. He is a wind god. When wind blows from the front, it slows your progress. But when wind blows from behind, it makes you move faster. So that's why Hanumanji was right at the back, pushing everybody to go ahead, And all the monkeys, with Angad's direction and Hanumanji's inspiration, they began to search high and low for Sita. And they did not leave one stone unturned. They searched every cave, every mountain, every tree, inside the rivers. They searched like mad. The first day when they began to search, their enthusiasm was the highest. And the first few days, they were very enthusiastic that they will find Sita. But after 1 month, their enthusiasm started coming down slowly. In our spiritual lives, in the first 1 year, we are very excited about our spiritual journey. Extremely enthusiastic and extremely excited. We almost feel that we will go back to Godhead in 1 week only. So excited we are. And as 1 year passes, and as 2 years pass, and as 10 years pass, slowly we start becoming, laxed. We start becoming less enthusiastic. And after 20 years, you hear a lecture, you say, so what? I already know all this, What he's going to tell something new, So we get into that mood that we already know everything. Nothing can happen to us, We are convinced, basically, Nobody can inspire us and nobody can do anything to us, basically. So the initial one month, Vanaras are pretty enthusiastic. In 1 month, no sign of Sita at all. And then they get very, very bewildered. And then Valmiki Ramayana explains that they enter into a forest. And interestingly, this forest is called the forest of doubts. When they enter into this forest, it's a dense, hot, very, very harsh forest. No fruits to eat, no water to drink, so much intense heat. The Vanaras, they start getting so many doubts. They start thinking, does Sita exist? We are searching for someone that doesn't exist only, Are we doing the right thing in life? Why are we wasting time searching for one girl? And so many doubts they start getting. As we practice our spiritual lives, when we go through difficulties, doubts start coming in the mind. And that's when we start doubting the process by itself. We start doubting why we are doing it. The Vanaras were very, very bewildered. Of all the Vanaras, the one Vanara that was not at all experiencing heat was Hanumanji. It is explained when Hanuman left. So all the Vanaras, when they left from Kishkinda, Lord Ram blessed everyone. He touched everyone on the head, patted them on the back, blessed all of them one by one. And of course, most of the Vanaras, they don't remember only. We all get blessings from, so many great devotees, isn't it? How much do we remember those blessings? How much do we remember those interactions? We hardly remember. But Hanumanji, when Lord Ram placed his hands on the head of Hanumanji, Hanumanji closed his eyes. And he was absorbing the feeling of Ram's hands over his head. And Hanumanji kept that in his heart. And wherever he was walking, wherever he was going, he was constantly experiencing the hand of Ram on his head. So when Ram's hand is on the head of Hanumanji, where is the question of him experiencing heat? Where is the question of him experiencing, all that the other monkeys were experiencing? So finally, as these people were traveling, they climbed up a mountain. On top of this mountain was a cave. It was a huge, deep, dark cave. When Angad saw this cave, he put his hand like this inside the cave. The cave was so dark, he could not see his own hand. Angad, when he saw this cave, he said, I can't go in. Why? Angad, all the problems in his father's life began with caves only. His father Vali went into one cave and he told his brother Sugriv to stand outside the cave. And then in that cave, he was fighting with this Mayavi demon. And Sugriv thought that Vali is dead. And he covered that cave and came back. From that day, all problems began in Vali's life. So Angad said, cave means I can't go in. So when Angad said, I can't go in, now all the other Vanaras were directionless. They didn't know what to do. That time Hanumanji came in the front and he said, I'll go in. There are many problems in life that intelligence cannot solve. Angad was a very intelligent person. He was leading them so far. The beginning of the whole journey, Angad only was leading them. But now Angad came across a problem that he couldn't handle. There will be many problems in life that don't have clarity of what you need to do. There will be many problems in life that are like this deep dark cave, which there's a lot of uncertainty. You need to walk in with faith. Intelligence doesn't help you in that time. For those who are intelligent, they need clarity first to start anything. In many problems in life, in the beginning there is no clarity. As you keep walking ahead, clarity will come. But to walk ahead, you need to have some faith, isn't it? So, Angad said, I can't do it. He went to the back and Hanumanji came in the front. In the beginning of your spiritual life, you need intelligence in the front and faith at the back. But at some point in your spiritual life, you will come to a situation where your intelligence is useless. That is a time to bring faith in the front and put your intelligence at the back. Hanumanji walked into the cave straight. He didn't have a torchlight, he didn't have a mobile phone, nothing. Straight he walked into the cave, in the dark cave. And when Hanumanji walked in, one monkey was behind Hanumanji. He caught the tail of Hanumanji and walked along with him. Hanumanji walked in first, and then the monkey caught the tail of Hanuman and walked in. And the second monkey caught the tail of the first monkey and walked in. And then the third monkey caught the tail of the second monkey and walked in. Like that, all of them were walking in behind each other, catching each other's tail. This is known as Guru Parampara. Guru Parampara essentially Guru Parampara essentially means I don't know God. I have no faith in God. I don't have, I've never seen God. But someone in front of me I have faith in the person right in front of me. And that person has faith in the person in front of him. And that person has faith in the person in front of him. Someone right in the front has seen God or has full faith in God. But I only have faith in the person right in front of me. That's all. So the Vanaras had no faith like Hanumanji had. But the Vanaras just had faith in the fellow right in front of them. And the only person who walked in with complete faith was Hanumanji. Hanumanji had this conviction that Ram is guiding me. Many years back, there was one reporter that was interviewing one devotee. In Maharashtra, there is a whole section of people who are known as Varkaris. So Varkaris are people who have great faith in Vitthal, Pandharpur, form of Lord Krishna. Every year, they start in a procession from wherever they are staying all the way to Pandharpur by walk. Miles, hundreds of miles. They walk sometimes for one whole month. And they plan in such a way that they reach on the Ashadhi Ekadasi day to Pandharpur and have darshan of Vitthal. There was one such Varkari who had done this for 75 years of his life. He had done every single year. For 75 years he walked. So one reporter interviewed this fellow. He interviewed this devotee and he asked him, have you seen Vittal? Do you have any experience that you had, divine experience? Have you seen Vittal? 75 years you've been walking like this. What is your experience? And this man, so this reporter was trying to kind of test his faith, right? This man asked him a very interesting question. And this fellow, these are based in India, in Pune. So this devotee asked him, do you have dogs in your street? He didn't understand the connection. He's asking about Vittal, and this fellow was asking, we have dogs in the street. He said, yes, I have there are many dogs on the street. And this devotee, he said, have you observed when one dog barks, all other dogs start barking? I don't know if you'll have experienced this in India. One dog barks, middle of the night, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the night. One dog barks and then 20 dogs are barking along, So this Varkari says, one dog barks, and when they hear this one dog bark, all the dogs in the street start barking. That one dog, the first dog, has seen some thief, and he starts barking. All other dogs bark simply based on the faith that they have in this one dog. So he said, I may not have seen God, but there is someone there who has seen God. I only have faith in him. That's all. So we don't really need to have faith in our own faith always, necessarily. It takes its own time to grow. But we have faith in someone right ahead of us. And that person has faith in someone right ahead of us. That's what the whole spiritual life is. So here, the Vanaras, they are just having faith in Hanumanji, who is right at the front. So they all walk into the cave, and this cave expands into a massive arena. And inside that cave is a lady named Swayam Prabha. And Swayam Prabha, she is meditating over there in that cave. And as she is meditating in this cave, she opens her eyes and sees the Vanaras right in front of her. So many of them. So Swayam Prabha says, I know that all of you all will be coming, and I know all of you are very hungry. And she just, chanted a mantra, and hundreds of baskets of fruits appeared in front of the Vanaras. All of them jumped and attacked and started eating the fruits. They were so hungry. They ate so many fruits, and there were rivers of juices flowing. They started drinking and they started enjoying themselves so much. Some of them said, we don't want to go back only from here. Forget Ram, forget Sita, we will stay here only. We are happy here. So after they had eaten so much and they were satisfied, then Hanumanji asked Swayam Prabha, how do we go from here? We're trying to find Sita. Can you help us? Swayam Prabha told all the monkeys something very interesting. She told them, I want all of you to close your eyes. And just have faith. Just close your eyes. So all the monkeys close their eyes. Now imagine telling a monkey to close his eyes. How long you think the monkey can close his eyes? Very difficult, right? For a monkey to keep his eyes closed. So the monkeys all closed their eyes. And suddenly they felt they were flying in the air. Flying at full speed. So some of the monkeys, they lost their patience. They didn't understand what's happening. They opened their eyes. And the moment they opened their eyes, they found themselves outside the cave, but in front of a massive ocean. If only these monkeys had kept their eyes closed for a few more minutes, they probably would have reached Lanka also. But they only had that much faith, A lot of our journey in spiritual life is to be walked with eyes closed. Not all of our journey can be walked with eyes open. So we are so confident of our eyes, isn't it? In fact, we speak about seeing is believing. Unless I see something, I can't believe it. We have so much faith in our eyes, but actually, eyes are very deceptive, isn't it? Optical illusions exist. So many things we see are not true at all. So our eyes and all our senses have limitations on how much it actually is true. So having full faith in our senses is not right. So when Swayam Prabha is telling close your eyes, she actually is telling all of us that most of our journey in spiritual life will be walked with eyes closed. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a story like this, where Krishna and all his friends, they are in the forest. And when they are in the forest, there is a huge forest fire that breaks open. And the forest fire is so powerful that all the friends of Krishna are stuck in this forest fire. And they all run to Krishna and ask him for help. And when all the friends run to Krishna and ask him for help, he tells all of them, close your eyes. Same thing. Imagine you are in a fire and somebody tells you, close your eyes. Will you close? Obviously not. We'll think 100 times, right? But all the gopas, all the friends of Krishna, close their eyes. Intensely close their eyes and absorbed themselves in the faith in Krishna. And what did Krishna do? Krishna, he condensed the entire fire into one drop of nectar in his hand. And he just drank that nectar. And the fire was gone. And after a few minutes, Krishna told his friends, open your eyes now. And they found that the fire is no more there. And in fact, they are not even in that forest where the fire was happening. They reached Bandirvan. They reached another forest only. And the friends of Krishna were so happy. They started praising Krishna and enjoying themselves. There's a big difference between the ways the monkeys are acting in Ramayana and the way the gopas are acting in Krishna Leela. In the same similar situation. The monkeys are like us. Very fickle faith. Little bit of faith. So if somebody tells us, do this, we'll do it. But not really sure whether we will actually do it or no. We kind of start getting doubts. But the gopas in Vrindavan, they have such intense faith in Krishna that when Krishna tells them in the middle of a forest fire, close your eyes, they'll close their eyes. Many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples were like this. Prabhupada would give them strange instructions and they would just close their eyes and follow it. Like one time, Prabhupada told a group of disciples, go to London and preach. They had no idea. They had never stepped out of their country. And here they're telling, go to London and preach. Totally different country. They had no idea where they were going, And they were told to enter into London, you need 2,000 pounds. You need to show. So these people didn't have any money. So they borrowed 2,000 pounds from somebody. So 6 of them went to London. And one by one they went. And after reaching London and showing that 2,000 pounds, entering into London, they would return that 2,000 pounds back. And the next person would come using that 2,000 pound entry, And then they would send it back. And then after all 6 of them reached London, they sent the 2,000 pound back and they had nothing. Imagine what a way to begin preaching, Now if you are sent to a totally different country, you naturally think about a lot of things, isn't it? You think, I need to have this much amount of money minimum. I need to have some place to stay. They had no place to stay in the freezing cold of London. They were living in cardboard boxes. Imagine young American boys and girls living in cardboard boxes in another country just based on faith in their guru. And miracles were happening. There was amazing things happening which were beyond comprehension. One time, as they were preaching in London, at one point, they wanted to organize an event for attracting some of the most elite people of London. And when they wanted to organize this event, the temple, or rather that small place that they were living in, were not very classy for attracting such people. And they didn't have much money also. And they wanted to buy a carpet to put on the ground so that people feel it's a good place. But they didn't have money only. They found out the cost of carpet. They couldn't afford it. So they were thinking, wish we had this much amount of money, Just as they were thinking, the next morning, one of the devotees, his name is Sham Sundar Prabhu, he was coming from Mangalarti to the temple. Mangalarti is like 4 o'clock in the morning, right? 4:30 in the morning. Early morning at 4 o'clock, he was walking to the temple from wherever he was living. As he was walking to the temple, just before he took that last one turn to the temple, suddenly something amazing happened. You know what happened? Money started flying towards him. Pounds were flying, currency notes were flying towards him. He was shocked. I mean, have you ever experienced money flying towards you? I don't think any of us have experienced this. But this devotee, 4 o'clock in the morning, currency bills were flying towards him. And he had no idea where those currency bills were coming from, And somehow he gathered, a lot of them, all the money together, and he was trying to find whom it belongs to. And he was going around searching, he couldn't find anyone. And when he counted, the money that came flying was exactly the amount of money they needed to buy that carpet. Now imagine, and this is a true story that happened 50 years before, literally. Imagine what kind of faith they had, and with the kind of faith they had, the kind of reciprocation they got from the Lord. So sometimes when we walk on the path of spirituality with our eyes closed, a lot of things happen. Of course, as I said, in the beginning stage of our spiritual life, we walk with our eyes open and with our intelligence guiding us, and we keep faith at the back. But once we really understand the path, find the right teachers, find the right guru in our lives, then we put our intelligence behind and allow our faith to come in the front. And then we walk the next distance. So the Vanaras now, they came to know that Sita is across the ocean, a 800-mile ocean. So the question was, who's going to do it? All the Vanaras started speaking about what their capacity is. So Angad started telling everyone, please tell how much you can do. So every one of the Vanaras enthusiastically started telling, I can do this much, I can do that much. And finally, one of them, Angad, he said, I can do 800 miles. So everybody was happy that Angad can do 800 miles. And then he said, but I don't think, I'm not sure whether I can come back. What's the point in jumping into Lanka and not being able to come back? You don't need a one-way ticket, right? So everybody was disappointed that Angad is also saying he can't come back. So why did Angad say I can't come back? Very interesting reason. Angad is Vali Putra. He's the son of Vali, right? So Angad's problem was not energy. It's not that he was not confident of coming back. It's not that energy was the problem. His problem was he is like his father Vali. When he lands in Lanka and he sees the beauty and the razzle-dazzle of Lanka, he may get attracted so much that he may not want to come back only. Like if you go to Las Vegas, a good chance you may not come back, isn't it? So Angad was at least very honest with himself. And he was honest with his weakness, He said, I can go, but I'm not sure whether I can come back. So everyone was very disappointed. And Jambavan started looking at everyone and wondering who can really do it. And then he realized one of them had not spoken at all. And that was Hanuman. So Jambavan sat next to Hanuman and started reminding Hanuman of his powers. The interesting thing is that, why did Hanuman not speak how much he can do? Very interesting reason. It is explained that according to Hanuman, that question itself was wrong. The question, what is the question? How much can you do? According to Hanuman, the question only was wrong. Hanuman considered himself to be an arrow in the hand of Lord Ram. How far an arrow can go doesn't depend on the arrow. It depends on the person who's shooting the arrow. You ask the arrow, how far can you go? What will the arrow say? I mean, can the arrow reply, how far I can go? If a very weak person shoots an arrow, it will fall here only, But if Lord Ram shoots the arrow can travel across the universe, isn't it? So, according to Hanuman, he said, how far I can go doesn't depend on me. It depends on Lord Ram. I am simply an instrument in Ram's hand. So then Jambavan reminded Hanuman of his powers. Hanuman suddenly remembered all his powers, and he jumped up and climbed the Mahindra Parvat. In 3 steps, 3 leaps, standing on top of the Mahindra Parvat. And as Hanuman was standing on top of the Mahindra Parvat, he was looking at the ocean, a massive ocean to cross. And as he was looking at this ocean, deciding to jump across the ocean, this is the second mountain on which every sadhaka has to climb before finding Bhakti Devi. The first mountain that every sadhaka has to climb before finding Bhakti Devi is the mountain of faith. It's the mountain on which the cave was there, right? The second mountain on which every devotee has to climb before reaching Bhakti Devi is the mountain of thoughts. What is the meaning of mountain of thoughts? It is explained that that ocean represents what is known as Deha Abhiman. What is the meaning of Deha Abhiman? Deha means body. And Deha Abhiman means pride in connection with the body. It's called bodily pride. All of us have great pride in this body, isn't it? Whether the body is good or bad, whether the body is beautiful or ugly, somehow we have pride in the body. When you look at yourself in the mirror, have you ever seen, flaws in yourself? Have you ever seen that an ugly person is looking back at you? No. No matter how ugly you are, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you only see a beautiful person. It's a very strange thing, No matter how ugly you are, you find yourself attractive. This is known as Deha Abhiman. It is known as a pride in connection to the body. And the Ramayana explains that Deha Abhiman is like an ocean. Like an ocean means what? Endless. How much time will it take to cross the ocean of Deha Abhiman? Literally a lifetime. If you have to find Sita Devi, if you have to find Bhakti Devi, you have to cross Deha Abhiman. And to cross Deha Abhiman, cross this ocean of bodily pride, you need to stand on top of a mountain. You need a launch pad. And that mountain represents the mountain of thoughts. Before Krishna spoke the Gita to Arjun, Arjun was standing in front of the 2 armies, right? And he said, I can't fight. Why he said, I can't fight? In front of him was all his relatives. In front of him were all his brothers and friends. And he said, I can't cross this ocean of relatives. And then Krishna told him that you're not the body or spirit soul. You think they are your relatives? They are not your relatives. They are all eternal souls that exist eternally. And interestingly, Krishna spoke the entire Bhagavad Gita to help Arjun rise on the mountain of thoughts. And from that mountain of thoughts, he was able to cross Deha Abhiman, the ocean of pride connected to this body. So, whenever we need to really do well in our spiritual journeys, we need to cross this ocean of Deha Abhiman. As long as we are stuck in this ocean of this bodily existence, we can't cross. So for us to cross, we need to climb on the second mountain, the mountain of thoughts. And then from Hanumanji jumped from this mountain. And when he jumped, of course, the jump, so many things happened. We'll discuss some other time about what happens on the jump. But when Hanumanji jumps, he lands on the other side of the ocean. And it is explained, when he lands on the other side of the ocean, he lands on a third mountain. The third mountain is known as Shuba Vilas. This is the third mountain on which Hanumanji lands. So when Hanuman lands on this mountain of Shuba Vilas, this mountain is called the mountain of renunciation. This is the third mountain every sadhaka has to climb. When Hanumanji stood on the mountain of renunciation and he looked at Lanka, he saw the golden city, Suvarna Lanka, in front of him. And Hanuman, though he saw the golden city, the most beautiful golden city that Angad was fearing to come and see, you know what Hanuman thought? It's a very beautiful explanation that is given. It is explained that Hanumanji, when he looked at Lanka, he saw all the houses in Lanka were called Mandir. What are the houses in Lanka called? Mandir. And only one house in Lanka was called Bhavan, which was Vibhishan's house. All other houses in Lanka were called as Mandir. Now, how come demons' houses, Rakshasas' houses are called Mandir? Because in a mandir, in a temple, deity worship happens, isn't it? There's always deity worship happening in a temple. In every temple in Lanka, there is a very important deity worship happening. And which deity were they worshipping? They were worshipping Sharira Devata. They were worshipping their own bodies. In every house in America also, that only is happening. People are worshipping their own bodies. So much cream we put, so much shampoo we put, so much conditioners we put, so much oil we put, so many things we are doing to this body, literally like Abhishek, and we're taking such good care of this body. This is what is known as worship of Sharira Devata. So when Hanuman saw all these mandirs in Lanka, he said, this Sharir Devata has to be worshipped. There's only one appropriate way of worshipping Sharir Devata, and that is burn it. So Hanumanji that day decided, I will burn all the mandirs in Lanka. Because that is the appropriate way of worshipping Sharir Devata. At the end of your life, what do you do to your body? Burn it, isn't it? So Hanumanji said, why to wait till the end of the life? Let me burn it now only, And the only house that he did not burn was Vibhishan's house. Because it was not a mandir, it was a bhavan. And what is the meaning of the word bhavan? Bhavan means, bha means Bhagavan. The place where Bhagavan is in the center, that is known as bhavan. A house where God is in the center, it is known as bhavan. And if you remove bha from your house, if you remove Bhagavan from your house, it becomes one. And what is a one? One is a jungle where animals stay, dangerous animals stay. They scratch each other, they bite each other, they kill each other, they trouble each other a lot. That is exactly what is happening in most people's houses today. Yeah? There's only a jungle with no bha in center, no Bhagavan in center. It's a very chaotic place. So here, when a sadhaka is trying to find Bhakti Devi, one has to cross these three mountains. The mountain of faith, the mountain of thoughts, and the third mountain is the mountain of renunciation. When Hanuman was standing on the mountain of renunciation, he was not at all attracted by the razzle-dazzle of Lanka. He was not at all attracted by the beauty of Lanka, but rather he was looking at it from a mood of renunciation. And as Hanuman stepped into Lanka, as he was about to step into Lanka, a huge demoness named Lankini stopped him from moving ahead. So Lankini told Hanumanji that you can't enter Lanka without the permission of Ravan. Hanuman, he said, see, I'm a monkey. Hanuman had taken the form of a monkey actually. He told Lankini, see, I'm a monkey. And I've heard that in Lanka there are good fruits. I'm just going to eat some fruits, then I'll go back. Lankini said, no. If Ravan has not given you permission, you cannot even enter to eat fruits. Hanuman said, see, I'm a monkey. Once a monkey decides to do something, it will do it. If you give permission or don't give permission, I will anyway do it. If you give permission, I'll do it nicely. If you don't give permission, I'm anyway going to do it. So this Lankini got angry at him, talking like this. Lankini pushed Hanuman, Imagine pushing Hanuman. Hanuman got so angry. He jumped up and gave one punch to Lankini. It is explained, when Hanuman gave the punch to Lankini, he reduced the pressure of the punch very, very much because he was punching a woman. He didn't want to hit so hard. But even that reduced punch of Hanuman, she fell, collapsed on the ground. After a minute, she got up and she told Hanumanji, "Welcome to Lanka." Suddenly, change of mood. And then she started recalling her old story. She said in her previous life, Lankini was a guard in Satyaloka, in Brahma's abode. And she was a guard, the watchman or entry guard at Brahma's Satyaloka. And Brahma was very upset with her once because she was treating everyone with a lot of arrogance. Watchmen have a problem. I don't know how. They just think that they're controlling everything. So they tend to become very insensitive towards people who are trying to come. So Lankini was trying to behave in a very controlled way there. And Brahma, he cursed Lankini that because you are acting with so much ego, I curse you that you will go and be born among the Rakshasas. And when you live with people who have more ego than you, your ego will become less. If somebody is very egoistic, the best way is to go to and stay with people who are more egoistic. And in front of such egoistic people, you yourself become humble. So Lankini was in Lanka all this while. So she felt bad. She begged forgiveness from Brahma. Brahma told Lankini, "Don't worry. The day a monkey comes and punches you, that day you should know the end of Lanka has begun." So Lankini tells this story to Hanumanji. Imagine what is the effect of one moment association of Hanumanji with Lankini. This is the effect of sadhu sangha. We preach so much, isn't it? Do journey of self-discovery, DYS courses, and then we feed prasad to people. We beg them, please chant one round, and so many things we do. And finally, after 1 year of pampering them and begging them and trying to give them so many lectures, finally they say, "Chalo, I'll do one round for you." As if they're doing a big favor on us. And here, Hanumanji, one punch he gives, straight away, full Veda base downloaded. She has understood essence of everything. And she says, "I'm leaving Lanka," and she leaves Lanka and goes also. Imagine the power of Hanumanji's association. Absolutely, essence of all conclusions delivered to her. This is sadhu sangha. Whenever you come to a satsang is like a boxing match. Every time you come to satsang, you should at least experience one punch on your ego. If you don't experience any punch on the ego, that means you have not come to satsang at all. Satsang always has to touch your ego, at least hit your ego at one level or the other. That's the real benefit of satsang. So like this, Hanumanji went on his journey to search for Mother Sita, and then so many amazing things happened in the journey of a search for Mother Sita. And of course, the fourth mountain on which comes in this series. So the first mountain is a mountain of faith. The second mountain is a mountain of thoughts. The third mountain is a mountain of renunciation. And then Hanumanji came across a fourth mountain, which he did not climb. And this was a mountain on which Ravan lived. It's known as the Trikuta Parvat. And on top of this, Ravan lived. And that was known as the mountain of pride. And because Ravan was living on the mountain of pride, he could not get access to Sita. Sita was living in Lanka only, but Ravan never had access to her. Because Ravan didn't climb these three mountains. He straight away climbed the mountain of pride and sat on that. So all of us are on our journey in spiritual lives. And all of us in our journey in spiritual lives, we have to climb these three mountains in the same order. We need to climb first the mountain of faith, Adau Shraddha. And then that faith leads us to sadhu sangha. And in that association of sadhus, we get to climb the mountain of thoughts. When we come in the association of sadhus, we hear lofty thoughts. We hear very high thoughts. And when we hear those high thoughts, then we are able to cross Deha Abhiman, and then we land on the mountain of renunciation. And on the mountain of renunciation, when we look at the whole of Lanka, we don't get attracted by Lanka. You may be living in Seattle, but you will not be, you know, distracted by the Costco's and the Walmarts and all the attractions of, of Lanka. And the focus will be on trying to find Bhakti Devi in your life. So this whole journey of Hanumanji is actually an internal journey of all of us in our lives. So we spoke about the importance of these two aspects, the importance of faith and the importance of intelligence. And what is bhakti? It's a combination of the two. Aham sarvasa prabho matas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante imam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Samanvitaha means combination. And that is the way in which we practice our devotion. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yes, bro.
Can you re-explain a little bit about the mountain of thoughts?
Okay. So the mountain of thoughts. So the question is, he wants to know more about the mountain of thoughts. So the mountain of thoughts essentially means, in what Prabhupada calls it as simple living and high thinking. So that high thinking is what mountain of thoughts is. So that means when we look at our lives and when we look at all problems connected to our lives, it has to be from a higher perspective. To solve the problems, you can't be meddling around in the problem. Like say for example, if somebody is in quicksand. If someone is drowning in quicksand, how will he ever come out? The only way he can come out is if someone outside standing on stable land pulls him out. If the fellow in quicksand tries to struggle too much, he will drown faster. Right? Only when somebody is standing on stable ground, you pull him out, then he will be able to come out. And for a person to come out from stable grounds, the way is, that's what, the whole idea is lofty thinking. So, standing on some higher principles, higher thoughts, is a ground which is hard. And the life we live, which is based on faithlessness or murkiness, is a ground in which we have sinking thoughts basically. Just like there is a very interesting explanation of in the Samudra Manthan. In the Samudra Manthan pastime, they bring that Mandara Parvat, right? They're churning the ocean using Mandara Parvat. And as they're churning the ocean using Mandara Parvat, that mountain starts sinking into the ocean. That mountain represents intelligence, buddhi. And the churning represents churning of the scriptures, using your intelligence. For you to churn the scriptures using intelligence, if you use only your intelligence to turn the scriptures, the intelligence becomes sinking intelligence. How to churn the scriptures? So when Mandar Parvat was sinking, then the Lord appeared as Kurma below. And he carried the Mandar Parvat on his back. And then they churned, the mountain didn't sink. That means for you to use your intelligence rightly, to churn the scriptures, it has to be first based on Krishna. When your intelligence is based on Krishna, then you do churning, good thoughts will come out. But if your intelligence is not based on Krishna and you churn, it will sink. So, mountain of thoughts essentially means stand on the mountain which is based on some philosophical understanding, based on Krishna. And then you churn. This is not a philosophical speculation. Lot of nectar will come out. But if you churn without that, without Krishna as a base, poison comes out, basically. Essentially. Make sense? Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions or comments? Yes, bro.
You spoke about intelligence, right? So you spoke about intelligence, and in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains the sitting places of lust, Indriyani Mano Buddhir Asyadhisthana Muchyate. In that shloka, Krishna says the sitting places of lust are mind, intelligence, and senses. So if we consider intelligence is like the antivirus software to to kill the virus from the other software, and if the antivirus software itself has virus, in other words, I'm trying to say is if the intelligence itself is a sitting place for lust, so how do we, get rid of
Yeah.
that?
So Krishna gives the formula there itself. So basically, the way to purify your intelligence is very simple. So all problems begin with what input you take into the senses. So if you give input to the senses which are bad, the senses feed that to the mind, and that is fed to the intelligence basically. So like just give you a simple example. You are using your eyes to see something. So if you see some dirty things, you hear some bad things, you use your mouth to eat some junk. So you're using all your senses to take in all negative things. Okay. So now, if you feed your intelligence only negative things, the mind is like a sponge. It absorbs, right? Every impression is absorbed in the mind. So if you only feed the mind negative things through the senses, the mind will be filled with bad things, contaminated things, isn't it? So mind is a storehouse of thoughts, feelings, and impressions. And intelligence. So once the senses are contaminated by bad input, the mind becomes contaminated. When the mind becomes contaminated, the intelligence, which is making choices, it will have two choices which are bad. You will have to choose between going to a pub or going to a bar. Both are equally bad, isn't it? So that is the choice that intelligence has when the mind is contaminated and the senses are contaminated. So naturally, the intelligence that is making choices like this between two bad things, how much the intelligence will be contaminated, isn't it? And that is where that kind of intelligence is the seat of lust. But the way to deal with it is just control what goes in. Therefore, when you come to ISKCON, the first thing you're introduced is diet. We are told, eat this, don't eat this. Some recommendations are made. So to the extent you follow this recommendation, you stop eating some type of food, you start eating some type of food. Then slowly your input to your senses, not only food, it's also eyes, what you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you touch, everything slowly you're starting inputting the senses pure things. So mind was impure first because it has always been added a lot of impure things. But as you come into the path of spirituality, you start filtering in the input. So slowly what will happen, that dirty things that were in the mind will get replaced by fresh impressions. And over a period of time, the mind becomes purified. It becomes Krishnized. And then the feelings, thoughts, impressions are stored in the mind which are pure. And then the choices that we'll have is go to this program or go to this program. What a choice. Yeah, it's a beautiful choice, right? So now devotees have so many options to go to. All options are wonderful, isn't it? That's a good choice to have. So the intelligence is making choices based on what inputs it is getting from the mind, and because the mind has pure thoughts, the intelligence is making pure choices, and that is how the intelligence gets purified. So that intelligence is what we are talking about. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? Hari. It's been a great pleasure and honor to be here with all of you at ISKCON Seattle, and hopefully the last 3 days, whatever we shared with you, with all of you, has been useful, inspiring, and enlightening, and entertaining also. And hopefully whatever you have heard, you will remember it and apply it in your lives. Of course, what I spoke based on some books that I've written is a fraction of what actually is there in the books. So I would highly urge all of you all to explore all the books that I've written. There's so many books now, almost about 30 books. Some of them are there in our temple, the others will come eventually. But please spend some time reading these books. It will benefit you immensely. You can share these books with youngsters, especially. You can share these books with uh, absolutely non-devotees who have no connection with ISKCON at all, and they will be inspired to come in touch with ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada's books eventually. So please use all these books as tools for your personal spiritual growth as well as for spreading our mission to hundreds and thousands of people. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhu, for visiting Seattle. This is your second time. Third time? Yeah. So I met you, I think, last time in Amazon when I was working there. And you came to Amazon. And the way you analyze, the way you assimilated all the Vedic thoughts and the tales into our day-to-day life, spiritual plus corporate life and all the lives, is very interesting. And it attracts a lot of people. Starts from there and they become curious and come to the spirituality. And many people actually who had actually liked it. Just one person like, hey, Udit, right? He works at Amazon. So he came yesterday without knowing. He listened to your lecture. He came again today. So I can see that. So wonderful devotee. He's coming to temple once in a week. So you inspire people by, even if they just drop in, they listen, and it actually inspires people. That's the proof your thing is reaching. And of course, we all get rejuvenated and we become like Vanaras, but we don't want to punch each other to give mercy. Right. It's very wonderful. So please come again and again. And yeah, we will have you once now COVID is over. So please come every year and we'll make the arrangements. And thank you for bringing him, Rajikripa Prabhu. He introduced you to us, and we feel very fortunate. And you're being taken care of Rajraman Prabhu and other devotees nicely. And we thank all of them because that's the power of association. So with the only way we can appreciate our standard with loud Hari Bol. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hare Krishna.
I would like to express my gratitude to all the devotees who have really been so supportive and so lovingly taking care of me, overfeeding me in the last few days. And especially grateful to Vriskripa Prabhu and Rajraman Prabhu for taking care of me here, and to the management of ISKCON Seattle, and especially Hari Vilas Maharaj for allowing me to be here and allowing me to serve him in any small way. So I'm looking forward to being with you all more and more often and doing so many amazing adventures at Seattle with you all. Thank you. Hare Krishna.